Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Devang Goud titled Across Universe. And if we switch over to here, we have it on YouTube. This is on YouTube Music. I've just got it full screen because otherwise it shows a whole lot of unrelated tracks. I'm trying to keep it around the musician we're listening to today. This is actually a cover of a Beatles song. So we're going to be listening to their interpretation of it, but we're going to be checking out this track from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Fascinating with the stereo use of sound across the stereo field from the start.
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither wildly as they slip away across the universe. Pools of sorrow, waves of joy are drifting through my opened mind, possessing and caressing me. Jai Guru.
Such a smooth.
Nothing's gonna change.
Such a smooth transition between elements being introduced.
My world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Jai Guru Deva.
Interesting interpretation with the sitar, eh? Using some alternative percussion as well, that's kind of cool. Although, to be fair, it's been a long time since I've listened to the original, so this could be similar types of percussion we had in the original.
Images of broken light which dance before me like a million eyes. They call me on and on across the universe. Thoughts meander like a restless wind inside a letterbox. They tumble blindly as they make their way across the universe. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change.
Greg call and response.
Nothing's gonna change my world.
Nothing's gonna change my
Nothing's gonna change my world.
Nothing's gonna change my
Nothing's gonna change my world.
Nothing's gonna change.
Sounds of laughter, shades of life are ringing through my open ears, inciting and inviting me. Limitless, undying love which shines around me like a million suns. It calls me on and on across the universe. Nothing's gonna change my world.
Nothing's gonna change my
Nothing's gonna change my world.
Nothing's gonna change my
Nothing's gonna change my world.
Nothing's gonna change my
Nothing's gonna change my world.
Nothing's gonna change.
Jai Guru Deva. Om. Jai Guru Dev. Jai Guru Dev.
I like the fact we're using different types of percussion actually, because we've had a traditional drum kit in there as well. I know that it's kind of not ideal to interrupt the song, but I struggle to remember all the stuff at the end, you know? It's great to have that variety there.
Jai Guru Dev. Jai Guru Dev. Jai Guru Dev. Jai Guru Dev. Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev.
Phenomenal harmonizing with the original motif.
Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev. All across the universe, all across the universe, all across the universe, all across the universe.
Now, this is well handled. It does sound like it was recorded on analog tape. And like really phenomenal dynamic range as well here, just for things to go down like that. Those bell curves are working overtime. And we're just done. I think that's such a cool thing to have that like space there, just to allow you to sort of like think about the track and what's gone before it. To be fair though, I don't know when it's going to end, but just like, I think that's a really positive thing, just to allow there to be space to sort of consolidate the experience. I'm really impressed by this, and we're going to talk about that more in the conclusion. So welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Devang Goud, titled Across the Universe, with the dominant sort of instrument being played here being a sitar. Like there was an arrangement made for it and stuff like that. It's originally a Beatles track from like 1969, if I'm not mistaken, so a while ago. The first thing I'll say is that I think this track is about someone. I don't think it's literally someone traveling across the universe. It's someone's thoughts and like the way that we interconnect with another across the ether, and how like the energies kind of transfer and stuff like that. And a lot of the stuff that was going on in like the 60s and 70s with like spirituality and all that sort of thing, those are being discussed here, and I think there's more nuance to it. But for what it's worth, I think that Devang did an exceptional job of communicating. I'm assuming they did the vocals here, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, and feel free to let me know in the comments if that is the case. Did an exceptional job of singing here. I'm not sure what the other dialect is. I don't think all of it was English, and feel free to also let me know on that front. But I thought that everything came through so wonderfully in a way which was very respectful to the sound of the Beatles at that point in time. Like there's a softness and elegance to the way that we sang those words, that we told the story, a sense of mysticism about it as well. Nothing was too sort of fast or hard or direct. I think it was really smart to have female lady vocalists as like the backing to contrast with the male lead. And ultimately, just with the way it was recorded as well, it does sound like a classic from like that time period. And I think that's an incredibly difficult thing to be able to really capture in a way that is meaningful or relevant. But when you're doing a Beatles cover, it's almost too easy to just modernize it, I suppose. But to go back to its roots and try and find what made it special initially, and then to be able to adapt it in the way we had here is very, very positive. I'm not saying these nice things because I feel like I have to. It's because I'm genuinely very satisfied with what we've heard from the vocals, with the interesting melodies and harmonies, not just with the main leads and the unison within the hooks, but also like the core responses that we had there. There were fundamentals being adhered to that came through very eloquently within this, and it just sounded so like they really cared about it. There's a lot of passion that went into this performance, this recording. And it's patently observable and very believable, and I'm stoked with it. The track at 5 minutes 45, well, it was practically 5:25. Again, it's been a while since I listened to the original, but I would say that it was probably very close to the source material, maybe with a little bit of extra sort of flourish added there. Like I think we did have like a sitar solo, although that could be like based off of like a guitar or something like that in the original. Either way, we did a great job of taking what they had made, including sort of more sort of like traditional, like the types of drums that we had and stuff like that, as well as the sitar, and kind of going between, you know, other ones, like again, like sort of more traditional sort of like drum kit and stuff like that, and putting those elements together, kind of create, maybe coupling what we had back at that point with what we're trying to put in with our own style, and creating this amalgamation of the two in a way which is very satisfying. We had a lot of instruments in here. If I talk about the sitar, I think it was a wonderful foil for what we had going on with the vocals. It took up space that was necessary within its own sections instrumentally when the storytelling wasn't occurring, but at the same time it never overwhelmed the rest of the mix, and there was a wonderful sense of like space to it, like you were traveling through space. And when you've got a track titled Across the Universe, I think that's kind of what you need, right? And I think that the hand drums that we had there were nicely spaced within the stereo field, and they came in a way which was very peaceful and calming, but also provided a great sense of groove with some of those 8th and even 16th note patterns that we had there. I think we also had a bass guitar in there, observing the root notes of the harmonies and stuff like that. I also think that we might have had an organ or something like that in as well, again furthering on that sort of spirituality thing and everything like that. And just ultimately it was a nice sub layer on the sides there to sort of warm things up. I like the fact that we didn't modernize the tones of the instruments too much, and we tried to keep them relatively conservative and relevant to how they would have sort of authentic to how they might have sounded at that point in time. It's the post-production is top tier. I think if I'm not mistaken, there might have also been some guitar at the start there, very subtle though, not like the sort of main leads or anything like that, as more of a kind of like an ambience atmospheric device there. And it was charming. It was really good. The different instrumental layers, they weren't all there at the same time. They were developed and like things went big and then small. And I like the fact that throughout the structuring of this track with the various different hook lines and verses and other sort of sung parts there, it just came together in a way where there were no awkward transitions or sort of bits where it was just like, do we really need to be having this right now? It all sounded like it was one big adventure, almost through composed, and yep, no issues there. I don't think there was a note out of place, and the theme itself, it made me feel nostalgic for a time that I wasn't alive, and that's a very weird thing. But it almost made me kind of appreciate music from that era just due to how sort of sentimental it was. It sounded like it had a genuine sense of innocence with the fuzziness, the warmth of everything like that. The way that the music didn't try to attack you and constantly pull at your robes for attention. It was just there as an aesthetic that you could either accept or walk away from. And it was so tender that, especially with the way the vocals were so soft and soothing, that you kind of just want to sit the whole time and hear them out. I think that's something really special. And for a track where you're sort of expressing how your thoughts and everything else interact throughout the universe and talking about how like the world isn't going to change, but like how maybe like other things come in like letterbox and stuff and sort of like transform things, ultimately very satisfying. And I guess in a weird sense, like it kind of loosely kind of ties into what I understand about the rest of the elements within the arrangement and the vocal parts. So altogether, very good. Finally, the studio recording, mixing, and mastering. I think that to emphasize the fact that I'm glad they didn't sort of like modernize the tone and try to make it sound too squeaky lean and sort of sterilized. It is really simply a track where you could sit with it and be like, yeah, this sounds like it was from the time period it was at. And again, as I understand it, they recorded this on analog tape to kind of capture that sort of vibe and expression there, and it was the correct choice there. The leveling was great. I wasn't necessarily super convinced with one aspect, which was how quiet the main sort of drum kit was after you had the hand drums. It sounded like there was almost a little bit too much difference between that. The drum kit sounded like a tiny little bit low in the mix, maybe like 0.25 or 0.5 dB too low. But I also understand we weren't compressing, the limiting chain to a point where we're trying to make an EDM banger or something like that. So it's okay. There was liveliness to it. The sitar, the organs, the bass, the drums, the guitar, any other sort of sub layers, the backing vocals, and the mains, all spread out across the stereo field and within the frequency spectrum with no resonant frequencies there. There was, again, a phenomenal amount of dynamic range. Things went almost entirely quiet at parts, and especially at the end. And it was still nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting were handled. I mean, effectively, this is my review of this track from an act named Devang Goud, titled Across the Universe, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool, stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.